There we go.
All right. Caleb, how you doing?
Doing good, man. How are you?
Awesome. Do you want to just give a little introduction to yourself, kind of what you do? I know you do a lot, so.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm Caleb. I live in Florida. Sorry, my monitor just fell. I live in Florida. I'm a realtor. I do commercial residential real estate. I have been starting businesses since I was young. Many failed, many worked. Currently working on an e-commerce business that will be kind of my priority that I'll be growing. Love to talk about that if you want to. Real estate, I enjoy, pays the bills, but I don't see myself doing it as a full-time job ever. I think I would get bored of it. Yeah, that's me. I spend time on the beach, the boat. I have a dog. You're probably going to hear him because he isn't sleeping right now. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
What's your dog's name?
Chance.
Chance. Nice.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
named
tell
him
me.
after the dog in Homeward Bound.
Nice. Yeah, tell me about your e-commerce business that you're looking into.
Yeah, man. So I've been doing e-commerce for a little over a year and a half now, maybe 2 years, start to finish, and had a few products, had a few work, had a few lawsuits, all of the firsts of e-commerce, which have
Yeah.
been it's been a learning curve for sure. But now we just launched or are launching in the next week or so a new product, and I think that one's gonna be really fun. We built a whole brand around it. I have an actual team, not a huge team, but we have people that know what they're doing on the things that I don't know what I'm doing, because I don't know every part of the process. So as far as building a brand, doing actual brand imagery, so like logos, naming, stuff like that is not really my strong suit. So I have somebody who's helping me out with that, and they have a ton of skills too. I mean, he's a Shopify wizard, so like we're able to do a whole well-rounded thing.
So is this your first time building a business with a full team and not on your own?
Yeah, for the most part, pretty much. Yeah, everything else has been smaller level intro stuff. I I never saw anything that I was doing super well. Like I always knew that it would all work. I could make anything work, but I didn't see anything that was going to like blow up, and be like an exit company kind of thing. So I kind of started everything with the intention of just learning as much as I could and being okay when it was time to just let go of it. So that's how I've always looked at things. Whereas with this, I think has the potential to be really big.
Yeah, I love that the just trying as many things as you can. That was kind of like what my Substack was about the other day, because
I
I've
read
been
that.
trying
Yeah.
so many random media things throughout since I was like in fourth grade, and I'm just like none of the stuff I did. Like if I didn't do all that, I would
Actually,
not be able to start the podcast.
okay, so in your newsletter, you talked about a stop motion part, right?
Yeah.
Like you made stop motion videos. Was that with Brady?
Um, we
I
might have done
swear
it in class.
I swear I remembered him saying something about it, and he was just here. He flew out to Florida for the weekend.
He might have been in one of my classes in like middle school, and we for a school project we did do like Lego stop motion. And
Yeah,
he was probably in that group.
I think he was because I remember him telling me about that, and I read it, and he had just flown out like an hour before I read your newsletter, and I was like, wait, that had to have been Brady. Like
Yeah.
that's
I because
hilarious.
I
Okay,
had been doing it a long time before that, but I did it with a bunch of classmates, so it's very likely. Dude, love
that's
Brady.
hilarious.
He's
Okay,
an awesome
cool.
dude. Um,
Yeah, he was here for the weekend. We went to Royal Rumble.
awesome.
It was sweet.
That's amazing. All right, I have an Alex Hormozy tweet for you, and
Okay.
I've seen you talk about something similar. It's kind of an older one, but I
Okay.
remember a little bit of backlash. So I'm sure this will piss off certain people, but you don't need a weekend. The concept is barely 100 years old. It's a modern invention. What you really need is work you don't need a weekend from. You'd be amazed how much faster you get to your goals when you don't go backwards 104 days per year.
I love it. Yeah, I'm big on that. So I sense, and I think I got lucky. When I first started working, I worked at a bar, and so I worked weekends always. So I would have a random Tuesday off here and there. And that was my life from like for my whole professional career. So from the time I started working at 14 to now, I have always worked weekends. So it was never a concept to me. And I'm so happy for that because now I do not feel like I have to take them off. I don't feel like I have to have a Sunday off or anything like that. I just take a break when I'm tired.
I have kind of a similar experience. I worked in setting up weddings for like 5 years, and the weekends are
Yep.
like the busy time. Like I'm working 11-hour shifts on Saturday and Sunday.
Yep.
And I think when people kind of miss the mark there is the part where he says you need a job that makes it what you really need is work you don't need a weekend from. Like if you're working a crappy job, obviously you're going to
Mhm.
get mad at that tweet. But if you can build something for yourself where you enjoy it, then you don't actually need that off. And I also think if you are still working, say a 9 to 5, or like me, I work a job and I'm still in college. So my main time when I can get in a good like 5, 6 hours to work on the podcast is on the weekend. It's
Right.
really the only chance. So sometimes you just have to maximize that and it can get really busy. But
Of course, but if you enjoy what you're doing, I mean, they actually I think Layla talks about it a lot. Alex's wife, she
mhm.
talks a lot about energy producing and energy draining activities. And if you can find work that is an energy producing activity for you, you're golden. You won't need that weekend off. You won't need to stop at 5. You will do something that you enjoy doing and you will take it much further.
Dude, I've found after a couple of my interviews, I've had to go on a run right after doing it because I'm so like amped up.
That's awesome. I
I'm like,
love
dude,
that.
that was awesome. And I go like sprint a mile.
That's awesome. It's so funny.
Yeah. So I think a lot of your story of like your early stuff has kind of been told. You did the Curious College Dropout
Yep.
podcast. I think that's what's called,
Yep.
correct?
Yeah, the
And you've
Curious
told a lot
Dropout.
about what you did. So I kind of want to get into stuff that that can benefit other people. So say we have someone, they're working a job, they've got $1,000 in the bank, and they want to start investing, starting a business. Like where would you recommend someone starts?
Education. Without a doubt, no doubt in my mind, education. I made the mistake of lacking on that. I did learn that lesson and I ended up doubling down on education later on in life. When I hit like 21, I started really focusing on education. I don't mean just college. Like you don't have to go to college. You can. It's not a bad thing. Like I hate when people are like college is a waste of time and money. I'm like, no, it depends on what you're doing.
Yeah.
Um, I
Where can
think
people get educated in the other sense then?
anywhere, man. I mean, YouTube, obviously YouTube is a huge just bucket of knowledge. Books, but then you run into the problem of who to watch on YouTube, what books to read. Like there's so much content out there and so much knowledge that you don't know what you should take away and what you shouldn't because you only have so much space in your brain. You can't absorb everything. So that was another problem I had was I was taking content and taking knowledge from everybody and not just the people who were doing what I wanted to be doing. So that led me to ingrain this sentence into my head and I couldn't get it. It took me so long. I wrote it on my mirror, I wrote it on the wall, I put it on my phone background, and it is not to take advice from anybody you would not switch places with. Because that
Mm,
was the only way I could stop taking advice from everybody. There's a quote that I really like, and it's either Charlie Munger or Warren Buffett. I don't remember which one. And they said, to be a great entrepreneur, you have to be able to say no more times than you can say yes. Because what ultimately makes or breaks you are the opportunities you're able to say no to and focus on the ones that you've already said yes to. That also took me years. Like I said, I'm just speaking from my experience. I started so many random small businesses that were never realistically going to blow up unless I spent all of my time on them. And I didn't have the time to give because I was trying to do 3 things at once.
that's totally the book I'm reading right now, Essentialism by Greg McKeown.
That's on my list.
It's on your list.
It's
Read
on my
it.
list. I haven't
It
started
is
it yet.
like it is all about that. Just the disciplined pursuit of less. Just really focusing in. Something funny.
Yes.
I think it was funny that we were just talking about that on Threads. How you mentioned you couldn't remember who that quote came from. Have you heard of Churchillian drift?
I've heard of it. I'm not
It's
super
like
familiar
the
though.
tendency for all quotes to be attributed over time to Winston Churchill. And it's like the same thing with like business stuff and Alex Hormozy or Warren Buffett.
Yeah,
I
they
love
all
that
just
concept.
go back to him.
Yeah.
It's
Um,
hilarious.
yeah, like we're talking about that mental masturbation when you just consume, 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 and at some point, like you're only gaining something from things you consume if you can take action from it. And if you're consuming so much that you can't take action from everything, it's a waste of time.
Shh.
He has something to say.
He does. He's talkative. He's super playful today. Um, so that brings me back to last year. I wrote down a list of books that I wanted to read. It was like 30 books, and I was like, I'm gonna read 30 books in 2023. I have no idea what the hell I was thinking because I am a slow reader, like
Me
a
too.
super slow reader. And I was listening to a podcast. I think it was a Hormozy podcast, and he gave me some um like a feeling of relief because he was like, all these people, they want to read all these books, every single book. And I'm like, there's no point. You find a few good books that will give you like the knowledge that you need, and you read them 3 times or 4 times or twice or whatever. And so that's what I'm doing this year. Every book I'm reading it twice. I'm in the middle of How to Win Friends and Influence People, which is a
Yep.
book I think every single person should read.
That's on my list too.
And Carnegie, in the book, he actually says in the beginning, he says, if you really want this book to work, read every chapter twice. So as I get to the end of the first chapter, I just restart, read it again. And it's nice. It's way easier to read the second time. And I think it's making me a faster reader too.
Something that makes me a slower reader, but I found has helped me so much is every time I read, I have a highlighter and a pencil with me. And if anyone borrows a book from me, every page is marked up.
Train wreck.
Even just
Yeah, I
random
get it.
things. I'll write like yup at the end of a paragraph or just like highlighting random things or I'll put funny notes or
It just makes you
serious
more
notes
engaged.
for
And
sure.
I never realized how disengaged of a reader I can be when I'll go back and read it the second time and I'm like, wow, I already read this once. I've never seen these words in my life before. But apparently I read it already just last night and I'm like, wow, this is crazy.
Yeah, it's so easy to just completely zone out.
Yeah, especially because I read at night.
Mm,
So it's harder to stay engaged in bed.
yeah, I've been trying to read in the morning has been my goal recently.
I do that too. So I'm reading Hormozy's book, $100 Million Offers, and I listen to it on the audiobook and I read it like as I listen because there's some study that is it engages a different part of your brain and helps you comprehend things better when you
Yep.
listen and you read it. So I do that in the morning, but I can't do that in bed. And I'm in the middle of 75 hard. So I have to read at night to get my 10 pages in.
Yeah. How's that been going? 75 hard.
It is pretty good. It's kind of a pain, but it's not bad. The A few days ago, I had a crazy. I love wine. Like I'm a
Yeah.
huge wine guy, and I had a crazy red wine craving. No idea why. Never really had it before. But yeah, that was tough for some reason. I didn't think that alcohol was ever going to be the one that would, like made me struggle. But I just went and got a non-alcoholic bottle of wine.
I was just about to say you should go look for a non-alcoholic.
Yeah, literally just grape juice.
Yeah. Yeah, I was talking to the last guy I had on, Gus Moore. He's doing it as well.
Oh, really?
And yeah, I thought it's funny because he's kind of said the same thing as you, is like the first time he did it was kind of like a more like a 75 soft kind of thing
Yeah,
in a way. And now he's actually doing a little more hardcore.
that's
Um,
how I'm gonna do it the second time, and I think I'm gonna start like I might start a little later, like mid-April now, so that I have like a month off and then start mid-April.
Me too. I'm doing it. I'll do it
Perfect.
with you, man.
Perfect. I'm
Um,
excited.
yeah, I'm taking the chemistry of beer. That's my one drawback.
Yeah, that's fine.
But we have like two little samples,
How's
which
that
is funny
going?
because oh, it's so fun.
Good.
Um, we did this thing the other day where we have 13 little sample cups with hams, so the most dull, worst beer. And then you get these tiny little bottles that each have a very specific flavor in them, and you mix it in. So try each one. It's like, well, this is what it'll taste like if you get bacteria in the fermentation process. This is what'll happen if it's There's too much metal ions in the water, so we get these very
Wow,
specific tastes that we can like pick up.
that's crazy.
It's pretty awesome. I
Huh.
think if you found something like that for wine, you
I've been
would enjoy
looking.
it
I'm
so
gonna look
much.
on like Groupon or something.
So, kind of going back to what I was saying earlier, if you had like that guy I was talking about, the guy with $1,000 in the bank looking to do something, investing, what should he do?
Like I said, education. But if you already have that, give me 1 second. Let me give him a toy so he stops mouthing.
Okay.
Take a nap. You need to take a nap. Then we'll play after. Sit. All right, sorry about that.
You're good.
Hopefully he's better. I don't know why he's ornery. He gets mouthy
Tell me,
sometimes.
he wants to take part in the episode. He's trying
He
to get in
does.
here.
He's got stuff to say.
Yeah.
Okay, so $1,000 in the bank. You have education. Assuming you know the direction you want to go and you want to be an entrepreneur, or that's what you plan on doing. I'm sorry. Let me reframe the question. Are you talking about starting a business or simply investing?
Let's say just investing. Someone just wants, say they just want to keep working their 9 to 5, but they want to
Okay,
build a
got
future
it.
for themselves, want to get into investing.
Okay, got it. Sorry, I misunderstood the question then.
That's okay. I worded it different before, so I got confused.
Okay, so starting investing. So the first thing you're going to want to do, assess your job's benefits. If your job offers a 401k and a 401k match, you'll want to start there because that's free money. So you'll want to max your 401k up to their match. So if they do like a 3% match, you put 3% of your salary into the 401k and they match it another 3%. So you automatically double your money. So that's the best return you can have. That's perfect. So start there. If your company doesn't offer that, which a lot are not, you'll want to open a Roth IRA. What that is a tax advantage account. So you put money in there and there's a set limit. It's $7,000 right now per year. That's the max you can put in it per year. And what you do is you pay the money, you pay tax on that money as you earn it. And then you contribute it to this account. As that money grows, you do not pay tax on the grown money. So you pay the tax once and then you're all said and done. So let's say you start at 20 years old and you contribute to this every year till you're 60 and you retire at 60. You have grown, let's say, $300,000 in contributions to $2.5 million. You don't owe any tax on that $2.5 million. You don't owe any tax, period. All you do is take your money out, live your life, live a great life. Awesome. It's one of the most simple, complicated things to understand. Anybody trying to understand retirement accounts, I kind of start there because they start to understand, okay, so you pay the tax on the initially earned money, but then you don't have to pay any tax on the future money that money makes. Does that make sense?
Yeah, versus like another retirement account that's not Roth, you would have to pay the tax on that money in the future, correct?
Correct. So with a 401k or a traditional IRA, you can contribute the money, let's say $5,000 in 1 year. You are going to reduce your tax liability for that year by that amount. So let's say you have a $60,000 salary, you contribute $5,000, you are only going to owe tax that year on 55,000 rather than 60. So you get a tax benefit there. And then the bummer about these, which I don't like, is you're looking into the future and you're saying, okay, well, our tax rate is going to be higher in the future or lower. So it's a gamble. You have no idea. Any money that money makes, let's say your same scenario, you contribute $5,000 a year into a 401k or a traditional IRA, and it's $300,000 in contributions, and it grows to $2.5 million. You're going to owe tax on that $2.5 million. Granted, you might be in a lower tax bracket at retirement than you are right now. So theoretically, you could save money, but I don't love that strategy.
Gotcha. So you would just recommend Roth for anyone
To
in that
start out
situation?
with, yeah, the problem with those is you can't spend the money. Well, Okay. You can take out contributions. We're getting into the thick of it now, but any contributions you can take out after 2 to 5 years. I don't remember exactly what it is this year. So anything you contribute, you can always take out. But the earnings you can't touch until 59 and a half. So once you are 59 and a half years old, you can take it all out. So that can be a pro or a con. Now, with a regular brokerage account, that you can touch at any time, but you're not saving anything on taxes. You owe full tax on it. So, as far as where to invest the money inside those, so those are your account types, right? Now, you have to actually put the money somewhere. So, you're going to either invest in a stock or a company or an ETF, which an ETF is probably the best way to go for most people.
What's
And
an ETF?
An ETF is like a basket of stocks. So, let's talk about VTI. It is, or VOO. That is just the ticker symbol of my favorite ETFs. And what they are is a basket, picture like an actual basket holding shares of the top 500 companies in America. So you'll have, let's say, 5% of it might be Apple, 2% of it might be Microsoft, 2% might be Facebook. And it goes down the line of the top 500 companies holding a larger amount of the top 10 versus the bottom 100. But nevertheless, it's perfect diversification between the top 500 companies. That way you don't have to worry about following like what Facebook is doing right now or what Apple is doing right now. You just hold this ETF and you have exposure to 500 companies and you don't have to worry. You know that you're probably going to be okay, and that averages the S&P 500 averages 8%, but it can be anywhere from 6 to 20% a year, and it can be down too. But over like a 30 to 60 year time frame, 8% is a good average.
I think it's so important for people to hear things like that because I think a lot of people hear investing stocks and they think you have to day trade and be watching the market all the time. But there are solutions where you can build your wealth over time without
Mhm.
having to, be so anal about paying attention to everything every day.
99% of people will lose money doing that. Like, you will 99% of the time you will make way more money just buying an ETF like that and just
Mhm.
holding it and waiting X amount of years than you will day trading or doing any like active trading of any sort. I do it because I enjoy it. It's more of a hobby for me. I have a Roth IRA that I max out every year with VTI in it. Like, I have the very safe retirement account that I can always rely on. Then I have a separate account that I use as like a hobby account where I can, if I think that I can trade and I can beat the market, great, I can try. But this is my money to do it with, and I don't get any more than that. It's kind of a discipline thing. Like, I put X amount in. If I ever lose it, I can never put more in.
Have you ever seen the forum, the dankest trades of Wall Street?
I'm on all the forums.
You're
Wall
on
Street
all I
Bets,
believe
I'm
it.
on all of them. Yes, I love
I've
it.
watched a couple of those YouTube videos, man.
Ha Did you watch the movie,
I haven't yet.
Dumb Money?
I haven't seen it yet. I want to though.
It's so funny. It's hilarious, and it's really cool. Have you seen have you seen The Wolf of Wall Street?
Yeah.
Have you seen The Big Short?
No, I haven't seen The Big Short.
Okay. So The Big Short's about the 2008 financial crisis, but The Wolf of Wall Street is more about Jordan Belfort than it is the
Mhm.
actual financial thing that he did. But picture like The Wolf of Wall Street, but it's actually just about the Steve Madden stock climbing to new heights and then tanking. But imagine being involved in that. So that's how I feel about the GameStop and AMC stock, because I was in the thick of it. Like, I was trading during that time. I was doing all of it. So seeing a movie that like highlights all of it brings back all of these memories that were
Yeah, 'cause you were
so
there.
much fun. Oh my god, it's awesome. It's
Yeah.
like, and we're young, so like I've never had that before.
Yeah.
Like, there's movies about world events, but we didn't have anything to do with them. This is the first one that like I was actually there for it. I'm like, wow, that's crazy.
Dude, I bet that's an awesome feeling.
Makes me feel old, actually.
Yeah.
I'm
Dude,
like,
there's a
wow,
lot
there's
of
a
things.
movie about.
I know I'm very young, but there's some things that have been making me feel old recently. Like, every time I come home and see my younger siblings and they're talking, like, I can't even understand what they're saying anymore.
Yeah, dude. The Oh, The TikTok kids are the worst. They make me feel so they'll say phrases and I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. But I know we did that when we were younger.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, all the Vine trends that we were just
Oh my god,
yelling around the
I miss
school.
Vine, man.
Dude, Vine was the best.
It was.
Dude, I have to have my I still have the TikTok app. I think I have a time limit set on it for, like, 10 minutes.
Oh, really?
Like, I just don't wanna get sucked in, but at the same
Okay.
time, I still have friends who send me stuff, so I wanna see it.
So I over the last like 6 months, I've kind of been doubling down on like social media, trying to grow my personal brand. Um, not really for anything specific, just to have it there when I need it. I'd rather start early than late. And I'm just kind of leaning into real estate, but I'll do whatever. And so I try to engage for like 20 minutes a day. I'll go on threads for 20 minutes a day, Twitter on 20 minutes a day. And for some reason, I suck at going on Twitter for 20 minutes a day. Like my algorithm is terrible. It has no idea what I'm talking about. And I think I'm the only one. I don't think anybody else has had this problem of not being able to get sucked into TikTok, but I just can't, man. I get so bored on there.
It's like you haven't spent enough time for it.
I
Maybe no
haven't.
one's talking about, business or finance as in depth as you on there, and maybe that can make it hard to kinda find what you want, but
I
I'm sure
think
you could find good wine content.
there's a lot of I could do wine on there. Like I'll
Yeah,
just that could be fun. That's a good idea actually. It'd give me a break from finance and business content.
yeah. I've tried to post on TikTok a couple times, but I've just never been able to quite figure it out like Instagram. Like, Instagram's pretty clear
Yeah.
in a way what you need to do to get views, but
Yeah, which
TikTok.
is weird because everybody says the opposite. Everybody's like, "Oh, wow, TikTok is so easy." And I'm like,
Yeah. Like, my sister started making wellness content on TikTok and got 3,000 followers in, like, less than a month,
"Wow.
and, like but and her engagement is unreal. Her posts will have, like, 100 likes and almost 100 comments,
Wow. Good
and I'm
for
like
her."
and then she stopped posting. I was like, "You have something so good started," and she's like, "I don't really care."
Yeah, that's fair. She
But,
doesn't care, she doesn't care.
yeah, it's like I used to think that everyone kinda, like, if you had a hobby or something, you have to maximize it, you have to find a way to make money on it, but sometimes it can kinda suck the life out of things.
Oh my god, for sure. It's pretty commonly talked about in, like, my circle of people and my business friends,
Mhm.
and everything we do, it's inevitable to look at how you can profit from it. Like, even especially being in e-commerce where you can make a like, when you're a kid and you do something, you're like, "Wow, I wish I had this to do this."
Yeah.
Well, now I can. Like, I know all of the things of how to manufacture a product from start to finish. So I'll be like, I have one hobby. It is mountain biking. I guess going on the boat, if you can count that as a hobby, but my one like me hobby is mountain biking. I will go and do it twice a month, give or take. I have to put it on my calendar so I actually go and do it. And every time I'm out there, I'm like thinking about products that I could make and like sell on Amazon. And I'm like, just enjoy it. Just enjoy it. Just
Yeah.
enjoy it.
That's me with both guitar and weightlifting. I tried to make music, and I started just not even wanna pick up my guitar because I hated trying to write and record stuff,
Right.
and then, like, for the gym, man, I just, like, didn't even wanna go in there because I knew I'd like, "Oh, I gotta film a video today."
I could never do weightlifting content because like I go to the gym. I go to the gym every day and that's that. But it is not something I'm passionate about. I could care less. I do it so that my head can work correctly.
Mhm.
I don't care about like getting big or anything like
Yeah.
that. And dude, if I had an extra responsibility I had in there, I would never go to the gym again. I could
Yeah,
never.
like, now I just, like, lift just to stay in good shape. I don't even care about
Yeah,
getting huge anymore, but it did kinda suck the life out of me for a little bit,
I'm
but
sure
that's
I could do like nutrition. I think nutrition's
Mhm.
super interesting. I could do that, but I could never do actual like weightlifting.
Yeah. See, that's what I love about podcasting is it's not really a hobby. Like, it could be, I guess,
Yeah, it can be.
but I don't think it's like podcasting is podcasting. It's not
Yeah,
like weightlifting where I'm lifting, but I also have to record videos. Like, I'm recording the podcast anyways because that's what a podcast is.
right, yeah.
If that does that make sense?
Yep, it makes total sense.
And also, if as my hobbies bounce around. I can talk to different people about different things. So
That's true. Like, you don't have to really be niche. You don't have to have a niche. Whereas,
yeah,
like, if you're doing, weightlifting content, that is your niche.
exactly. I found your podcast.
Oh, did you?
Um, yeah, because I was trying to remember the name of the college dropout or I can't remember now, the Curious College Dropout podcast because I was going to talk about that. But
Wait, did you find my actual, like, one that I posted?
yes,
So it posted.
it did
Okay, good to know.
on
I did not edit it.
Fortitude Capital.
Yes, that.
Yeah.
So I didn't have a name, and that's, like, the name that I have written down for if I ever start, like a brokerage firm or, like, a money management firm, is Fortitude Capital, and so I was like, "Fuck it, I'll just use that."
I like your picture.
Canva, baby.
Canva, dude.
Absolutely.
Anyone who is trying to start any social media page, any business, anything, get on Canva.
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness, it's a
What is it, like,
lifesaver.
$110 for the year, I
Yeah,
think?
and
Oh,
even the
yeah.
free version, there's so much you can do on it.
Free version's great, but, like,
Yeah,
I got the paid one right away, so I didn't have to,
yeah.
like, try to figure out what was free and what wasn't. It easily the best thing. That and a social media scheduler were the 2 things that I paid for this year, and I
Mm,
was no doubt so worth it.
a social media scheduler, that's interesting. So all they do is make your content calendar, basically?
So, it's a calendar, and you, go on there, and you can make a post, and you can make 1 post, and you can click which social media sites you want it to post to.
Mm.
So, I can
Oh,
make
gotcha.
1 post for Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever. Granted, the algorithms are all different, and you probably should make them a little different, which you can do too. You can schedule 1 for Instagram, 1 for Facebook, etcetera, but that way you don't have to, like, go on LinkedIn Scheduler, and then you don't have to go on Meta Business Suite, and then Twitter, and you can just do them all from 1 interface.
What is it?
Vista Social. I will send
This
you a
is
link.
social. Thank you. I'll
It's awesome.
probably buy it.
You should. I will send you a link for
That's
sure. I think it was $120 for the year.
that's not bad.
No,
Because
not at all.
I've been trying to get, shorts and clips out of these podcasts, but then posting it on Instagram, TikTok,
Mhm.
YouTube, maybe, like, even Facebook is just can be a pain.
Yeah, you use that for sure. You can, and those are all the same. So, like, if you're just posting shorts or, like, short clips, you could probably post the same thing to TikTok, Instagram Reels, Facebook
Mhm.
Reels, and YouTube Shorts, like,
Yeah,
without
especially if I
fail.
edit it off the
Yeah,
platform.
yeah, for
I
sure.
don't the Instagram algorithm likes when you edit on platform more, but it's such a small difference. Doesn't even
Yeah,
matter.
no. Yeah, I'll send it to you, and you pay, like, per, site that you do it on, so it actually might be cheaper for you because for whatever reason, I did Pinterest. I don't know
Oh,
why, but I do have a Pinterest account that I post to. I probably won't do that again.
I took a digital marketing class. We had, like, a whole week on Pinterest, and it's like
There is
I don't
such a
have much interest
niche.
in it.
I don't either, but there's such a niche to be had on Pinterest, dude. The growth there is insanely easy.
Is it maybe I should get on there. I don't know if there's any
Not
podcasts
probably
that pay
not
to
for
be
what
on
you're
there.
doing. So, like, if you're starting a blog, then Pinterest can crush, like, so that was my business that I just am selling right now, was an affiliate marketing blog, and it was about coffee, and that was, like, one of the first things I started, and it was taking my time, and it wasn't doing anything for me, and I had no interest in doing it long term. So I'm getting rid of it just to cleanse, right? Get rid of
Is that
something.
Elegant Espresso?
Yep,
Gotcha.
yep, so I'm selling that, and that did well on Pinterest.
Tell me about the other, business you started in your bio. RTR
RTR Media?
Media. Yeah.
No, that's not an individual business. That is a holding. That's basically like a holding company, and basically what that holds. So like my e-commerce brands. So I have like a garden hose brand, and I have now like it's going to be a personal care line, starting with hair care, and that holds those brands. So that is the owner of. So like that brand that technically owned Elegant Espresso too, but it's just a holding company. That's not an individual like
Gotcha.
company.
Yeah, I was curious. I was looking at it, I was like, "I don't know what this is, I'm not gonna lie."
No, so I just found out that tag went to an account that was like an HGTV, like, filmmaker, and I
See,
was like,
that's
"Yeah,
what was
this."
throwing me off because I was like, "Oh, that would totally be something Caleb would do because it was
It totally would be
housing."
because real
Yeah,
estate, and my girlfriend's a videographer, but no, that's
yeah.
not
Have
me.
you been helping her build a business with that?
I've been doing everything I can to help. She just recently figured out, so photography and videography are very saturated,
Hmm.
and she just recently figured out the niche that she wants to go into, and she is going to dive into filming for content creators, but they don't have to be creators. So, like a small business person who, let's say they're a wedding planner, she will get hired to go follow them around a wedding and like film what she does for content on their social media. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I got it.
So yeah, she's gonna do that, and she's gonna start with like she's going very niche. She's starting with wedding companies, so like florists, for example, or dessert makers or DJs. She'll go and she'll like take clips of them, and then maybe edit a reel or two, and send them the individual clips to use and make their own reels.
You should have her record some of the. I might be biased 'cause I did this for a long time, but the installation. Have you ever seen the big tents go
Installation.
up? Like, for
Oh,
weddings, like the huge tents that people do,
yep.
um, setting those up is a project.
I know. So I set up a pop-up bar at BIR every year, which
Mhm.
for anybody watching that doesn't know what BIR is, it's a racetrack in our hometown. And I set up a bar there and I get a 20 by 30 tent and I watch them set that thing up and it is insane.
I might have set that up. I
I
do
I rented it from Party World.
oh, dude, party time rental. We
Party
gotta
or
go.
um wait, was it Party Time? The one by Minnesota Inboard.
No, we're the one that's kinda right down the road from BIR,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
but
I
we set
actually I
up,
rented it from there the first year, but
nice.
they were out the next year.
Yeah, that weekend's always super busy,
Mhm.
but I think the biggest one we do at BIR is, like, 40 by 100,
Is it for one of the
and,
vendors?
it's for the VIP tent
Yeah.
is one yeah.
Yep. Crazy.
Alright. What are what's, like, your what are your goals in finance, building wealth, business? What are, like, your long-term goals?
$100 million.
$100,000,000?
That's the number. That's the number goal. I like the ring of it and I like even numbers. Um, so a lot. I want to do a lot. I love working. So I don't really want to set myself up for a goal that ends in me not working necessarily. But obviously, like everybody, I want to be able to slow down and work when I want. So the idea is full storyline, probably build businesses from 20 to 30 and accumulate enough money to start a um, private equity firm or like a venture capital firm or just a private like a family office. And those all three of those are very similar things. A private equity, venture capital, and family office. There are very few differences between them, but there are some key differences. But in short, what all of them do is they have to start with a massive amount of money, first of all. So that's why I need to make the money to be able to do that. And then you take the money and you find companies that you want to invest in and help them build. So you find people who are doing, 100 or doing maybe 500,000 a year or $1 million a year, and they need help getting to the next stage. By that point, I will have the skills to help bring them there. And I will buy, let's say I buy 35% of their company when it's private and help them go from $1 million company to $100 million company. And then when if they IPO or they sell or whatever we end up doing, the return is much greater, but the risk is also much greater. So essentially, what you're doing is you're just investing in people and their companies. And I think that that's what I would love doing full time, like long term, because I love people and I love business and I love all businesses. I can always look at them. I love looking at deals, stuff like that. So I think that that is a long term thing I could do.
I think that's perfect for you too, because you said, you've started so many things, and sometimes that can be so overwhelming. But with this, you could get your hands on all those different sorts of businesses without being in charge, having to do
Exactly.
everything, and meet people who are interested in the same things as you.
Yep,
Uh,
exactly.
yeah,
So, I mean, the businesses, they'll already have, a founder, they'll have a CEO, they'll have people in place already. I will just come in as a minority shareholder, whether I hold 49% or 30% or whatever. I will just come in and fine tune things. So I will identify problems or things that could be potential problems and remediate them or fix them.
Yeah. What's your mindset like, man? I'm curious. You seem always so like just like chill dude, but at the same time you work so hard. I'm just curious kind of what's going on inside that brain.
Hard question.
That is
What
kind of a
was
tough one. Maybe get more specific. Like what's your routine look like throughout the day?
okay? Easy question because it's the exact same every single day. I wake up at 6. I go to the gym, 45 minutes usually, 45 to 55 minutes. Come home, take the dog outside, cold shower, protein shake, work. Then I work for maybe 2 hours, and then by then, Alyssa, my girlfriend, she is done with her workout and whatever she has to do in the morning, and we'll have breakfast together. That's kind of our, like, non-negotiable time. We, like, always
Mhm.
have breakfast together, and we sit down and we talk and do whatever.
I love it.
That usually is, like, 45 minutes, and we do that every single day. That's super important to her, so it's super important to me. Go back to work, done whenever I'm done. That can be anywhere from if I decide I'm done at 3 some days, which I do, I'll be done. Otherwise, 8, 7, whatever. Whenever the work that I have to do that day is done. Pretty simple, nothing crazy complicated. I don't have a s If I had a sauna, I probably would throw sauna in there,
Oh, I wish I had
and
a sauna so bad.
I do too, man. It sounds like if I had the space to have, like, a cold plunge and a sauna, I would totally be that guy, but I live in a 600 square foot apartment on the 2nd floor, so cold plunges are frowned upon.
Yeah, I'm sure. You had that thread you or yeah, thread you posted the other day, kind of talking about that stuff like the meditation, the cold plunge, all that
What they tell you it takes.
is what they tell you it takes.
Yeah, that was
And
what
I
they tell
liked
you
it.
it takes, and it was, like, a bunch of bullshit that people are like, "This is what you have to do to get rich." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Okay, well, you might do those things now, but I promise you when you were like the person might have all the credibility in the world. Like, they might have sold a $100 million company already. That's great, but those people, they didn't do that. They did the work, sold the company, and then got super into all this other stuff because they had all this time and money on their hands and think that that's what got them there, but it's not.
I
Like,
think it's such a dangerous distraction for people too. Like if you're more worried about because like you've gotten to the point where you can build that awesome routine, but if there is someone, still working, still in college, all this stuff, and their time is already very limited,
mhm.
and their focus is on, okay, I need to meditate for 30 minutes and then work out and then get in my cold plunge. It's like, well, you're not doing anything.
Yeah,
Like
dude,
it's
you
not
have
it's not
like
pushing you anywhere.
there are people who have 3 to 4 hour morning routines, and that's insane. Like, I am all for a morning routine. I think it's very important, but there needs to be a limit, and ultimately, the thing that's gonna get the most work done is just doing the work. And so
Do
figure
the
out how
thing.
you can get to that point as fast as humanly possible is the way to do it. And like 99% of people do not need all of those things. Most people probably need 1 or 2 things. I need 2 things: workout, food.
Yep.
Then you can do the
That's
thing.
all your body needs for the most part.
Pretty much, yeah, movement is a thing that you need. Once I mean, sunlight. I think that is
Important.
one thing that people say, they're like, "Get early morning sunlight." I'm like, "I don't think you need 30 minutes, but go stand in the sun for, a minute or a few minutes, 10 minutes, whatever." I could see that having realistic benefits.
Yeah, you only need about 10 minutes. It basically just it resets
The
your
circadian
internal
rhythm,
clock.
right?
Yeah. Yeah, your
Yeah.
sleep circadian rhythm, and then at a certain you'll get ready for bed. It'll help you go to sleep basically. Like,
Yeah, 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 which I'm
but
starting to focus on. I got an Aura Ring,
nice.
tracks your sleep.
My Garmin does it.
Yeah, I can't wear a watch to bed.
Dude, I used to have an Apple Watch and I had to charge it overnight, so they don't track sleep.
Right.
So when I first got this, it felt weird at first.
I
I'm
bet.
used to it now, but for the
I figure
first
you
couple
get used
nights,
to it.
yeah. I tend to sleep in my stomach too, so it'd be like digging into my leg if I'm
Bad for your back.
I know, man. I'm pretty active though. My
I
back
think you'll live.
yeah. There's other things that I do.
Yeah.
I've been kind of trying to build a morning routine. I'm not a morning person at all. Um, in the past, I've tend to like when I'm doing projects, I do it all at night. Like I'll do it at like midnight to like 3 a.m. But I've been trying to get stuff done in the morning and I found ideas don't come to me as easy, but I'm a lot more productive. I'll get more done in less time.
I I I feel that. So that's when I started going to the gym early in the morning because I would get up, drink some water, and then sit down and try to work, and I'd be moving at a snail's pace with nothing going through my head.
Yeah.
Like, I had the mental capacity of a snail, and I was like, "Well, this is unproductive." That's when I started going to the gym in the morning. I'm with you. I was a late night work person. I loved it. Like, sitting down from 8 o'clock to 4 in the morning was my jam because that's when I worked in high school and all through college. I worked from, 5 p.m. to 4 or 5 a.m.
Yeah.
So that was like when my body knew that it was time to work. And it took me a couple months to break out of that. But living with a significant other helps because she's like, why are you working in the middle of the night and then
Yeah.
sleeping all day? And I'm like, well, yeah, I can see this causing
It's like, "I wanna hang
problems.
out with you, I wanna be able to see you and stuff,"
Yeah,
and
I'm like, yeah, I can see this causing problems down the line. I should
yeah.
probably fix this.
Yeah, running in the morning, I've been doing that, and that's helped me a lot. It really gets me going,
I bet.
even though
God, I hate running.
I hate running so much.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, so I'm training for a marathon, and so is my whole family. We're all running
Oh,
grandma's marathon
dang.
together. Yeah, so that's honestly what's keeping me going, is having
Wow.
people doing it with me, but
That's
I'll
tough.
we'll get you in a marathon one day.
Dude, one day maybe I could see that being my 2025 thing. Who's the guy? Yeah, I forget what it's called. Do one life defining thing every year. You heard of this?
Oh, yeah,
It has
it's
some weird name. Let me look it up. But anyway, go on. So, how many siblings do you have?
I have 1 biological sibling
The
and, like,
Misogi
6
challenge.
and a ton of step siblings. Yes,
The Misogi
um,
challenge.
this
Um,
yeah.
so they're all doing it.
There's 1 that's not, and then my stepmom is just doing, I think, a half marathon. So
Half
there's,
marathon.
4 of us, no, 5 or 6 of us doing the whole thing.
Nice. Wild. Ooh,
Yeah, man. That's
not
kinda
this
like
year.
no, well, yeah, one day.
One day.
Um, that's kinda been my thing recently is I really want to grow the podcast, and I really wanna talk to cool people, and but at the same time, I need to be doing cool things at the same time to have these
Yeah, for sure.
conversations, I feel like.
For
You know,
sure.
if I
And then like as you grow in the podcasting space, you're gonna end up going on other people's shows. Like, I want to have you on mine because
yeah,
now we've already had conversation and I have never interviewed somebody in my life before. So I think you're a good person to start with in the early beginnings.
sweet.
Um, but yeah, dude, you have to have stuff to talk about.
Because, like, if I go on someone else's show and I'm like, "I don't wanna talk about podcasting for an hour if that's the only thing I'm good at." So, I still like the physical feats is kinda where I'm going, and, Hormozy has this thing, he says, his goal is not to be happy, it's excuse my language, mom, it's to do epic shit,
Yeah.
and I
Yep.
love that. And the first time I heard him say it, I got a little upset, like, "Oh, like, you shouldn't be telling people their goal is not to be happy." But then I think about it, if your goal is to always be happy, it's impossible to accomplish that goal because life's gonna throw stuff at you. You're not always going to be happy. I think
Yeah,
your
it's
goal should
entirely
be to do
unrealistic.
things that are gonna fulfill you so that you'll be happy most of the time, but I think having that goal to be happy all the time is just unrealistic, and
Yeah, I
it kinda
totally
has to
agree.
be worded right. You know, you can't tell people like, "Oh, your goal is not to be happy," but do epic shit.
Do
I
epic
like it.
shit. It's yeah, and I think that that embodies so many things, doing fulfilling things, things that you'll look back on and say, okay, those were good old days. Like, I'm big on remembering that we are living the good old days, and being around like friends always, specifically old friends, always like brings that out more.
Yeah.
Where like like I said, Brady flew out. For anybody listening, Brady's like my best friend of like 6 years now, and we were like talking about how long we've been friends, and I was like, this is ridiculous. I mean, we're talking about things we did like 6 years ago, which is longer, 7, 8 years ago, which is crazy to think about. But those things are fulfilling. Like whatever
Yeah.
you're doing, and they usually are epic things.
Did you ever go through almost like a lonely phase when kind of moving on from like high school, college life
Yeah.
to business?
Oh God, yeah. I'm just barely out of it. So I left. I don't know if you remember. I left high school the end of junior year. I moved to Arizona, and because I didn't graduate from Brainerd, so I left that year
Oh,
early.
I did not know that.
No, I didn't graduate from Brainerd. Oh, you probably wouldn't know that because COVID.
Yeah.
No, nobody graduated
Nobody
really.
knew. Yeah.
Yeah. So I left the end of my junior year. We're the same year, so end of
Mhm.
your junior year, and I moved to Arizona and started living there, so that I could have in-state tuition the next year because I was planning to go to
Yeah.
ASU. This is when everything hit the fan, and COVID hit, and I was like, "Okay, well, I'm not gonna go pay 25 grand to go to sit in front of a computer at ASU."
Yeah.
So I went to community college, and Brady moved down that summer. He moved down to Arizona with me. That was always a plan. And between the end of junior year and the end of senior year, and actually into the summer, so like 15 months, I lived completely by myself. Um, I had made some friends in Arizona, not a ton because it was pretty challenging. I didn't go to in-person school, and COVID was there half the year, half the time. So super, super like alone. I'm very good at being alone. I loved living alone. And then Brady moved down, and I was still even like in more of a like lonely phase. Not lonely, but like I was building a business. Like I was
Yeah.
trying to figure out how the hell I was gonna make a bajillion dollars when I was 18, like every 18, 19-year-old kid
Yep.
does. And then I was like, wow, this is way harder than I thought. I'm gonna have to like step back and figure out like an actual plan to make this. I
Yeah,
can't
all the
just do
guys,
it.
all the people online you see in the little videos are like, "It's so easy to make $1,000,000. You can do it right now if you buy my thing."
Yeah.
But then you realize that, "Oh, wait."
I have a special kind of dislike for those people, man.
Oh, me too.
Because there's that was how I wrapped up that tweet and thread actually is um those people got rich selling the idea that there was a shortcut or a hack to doing it,
Yeah.
and there isn't. There never was. There's one way there, and it is to do the work.
And most of them haven't actually done anything.
No, no, God, no. They might have made a course, and they might have made killer money off of said course, but they
Yeah.
didn't do shit. They sold.
Yeah.
They're snake oil salesmen.
Yeah. So, yeah, back, you were talking about your experience in Arizona.
Yeah, so like I lived alone and actually I lived alone in Minnesota too. So as soon as I hit 16, I lived alone, and so I spent 2 years, pretty much just under 2 years, living completely alone, which was cool. I enjoyed it. It developed a lot of character traits. It allowed me a lot of time to learn. Um, but yeah, and then after I moved out of Arizona and moved to Florida, I spent a good like year where I was pretty much just building because now I'm like I was 21, 22, and I actually knew what I was doing. So I
Yeah.
had like knowledge that I could put into the time and effort that I had. And so I was living in a new place, had no friends that I had to keep up with. I had a girlfriend I had to manage, but she's pretty easy. And that was it. So I had 18 hours a day to work. And that was another lonely phase. And now super social because things are a little bit more like on autopilot and I have a better balance, like work-life balance, they call it apparently. And
Yeah.
apparently I didn't have one of those, and I do now.
So how did you what was it how did you build that community of friends you have now in the business world? Like, what
In the business world specifically, it all came from Twitter. I know that sounds crazy. When I started in real estate, I deleted my Twitter account and I started a new one because I wanted to reset all of my algorithms. And I have found such a community on Twitter. It is insane. There are more people there that like connect and make actual connections and threads now. Threads is great too. But there are so many like-minded people on there. It's wild. And then a local like community in I got super lucky as far as like my local community, not necessarily even business people, but St. Pete is an insanely like friendly place and so many people here are business people not really like my kind of business people, but everybody here has like a small business, which is cool. It's fun to be around. Like I said, it's not really my thing, but it's at least a like-minded individual that's like maybe has a wedding planning company, or maybe they like make juice and sell it at all the markets, like stuff like that, which I think is really fun to be around. It's awesome to see these people doing things that like they like doing, and they're pretty much just have a job, but at least they work for themselves.
Yeah. That's like the one I think that's the biggest obstacle I've had in college is people just are not interested in the same things as me
No, no, God, no. And
at
I
all.
I like it took me so long to find people in the same like headspace as me, because I wasn't gonna find it in Brainerd, Minnesota, and I wasn't
No.
gonna really find it at ASU in Tempe, Arizona, where everybody's shotgunning beers every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So I finally found it here, and I'm super thankful to be here.
Awesome. Yeah, Delaney and I, we plan to move around a little bit in the next coming years.
Yeah,
We want to do a little like US tour and visit a few places like, Austin, Texas, St. Pete.
you
Um,
should, man. It's so my whole like childhood up until high school, freshman year I stopped traveling, but up until freshman year, I lived in 41 states and went to 16 different schools.
wow.
Yeah, I know. Totally story for another time. But so I've seen enough to where I was very confident when I found St. Pete. I was like, okay, this is it. I'm not going anywhere else. Like, but I had the luxury of living in so many other places
Yeah.
to be able to say that. You guys should totally take a road trip and cruise around and check places out, because that is the best way to do it. When we moved to Florida, we did that, but just around Florida. We got a car in Fort Myers, started in Fort Myers, and went around the whole state, up and down both coasts. And we were like, okay, cool. St. Pete it is. They had good fish
Yeah.
tacos and cool people.
That's like, you talk about your ultimate goal is $100 million, all these things. And for me, I would love, like, I just want freedom. And if I had the freedom to buy a Sprinter van, convert it, and drive around the country and visit all these places, I would be so incredibly fulfilled. Like, I don't think
So
anything would make me happier than that.
it's funny you say that. Did you know that Alyssa and I have a van?
I do, yeah.
Okay, so we have Stan, and he's not really a van that you could live in, but we travel with him.
Mhm.
And then when we moved to St. Pete, we had a brand new Dodge ProMaster on order. Like, it was ordered and it was set to be delivered to St. Pete in March. And our plan when we first moved here was to build the van to live in and travel and have St. Pete as our home base. When we got here and lived here for a few months, we were like, wow, we love it here. It feels like a step backwards to leave. So we still want to do that, but we want to set roots here. We want to buy a place here first, then build the van and maybe travel through the summers or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's funny you say that, because we want to do the same thing. Like, I love van life, and we've gotten a taste of it with our van. It's so much fun. It's the best way to travel.
Um, Tell me a little bit about it. I've watched a few videos, but
Our
what's it like being on the
our
road in a
van,
van? Yeah. Or
it's
just,
awesome.
traveling in a van in general.
Traveling in a van. Yeah, so if you go on Alyssa's YouTube channel, she's posted all of her videos there. Um, and so, like, there's a whole, like, bit, and my YouTube channel actually, there's a whole video of our build, of, like, our us building the van. I think it's, like, 13 minutes. It's a pretty good watch. I would check it out. And as far as traveling in a van, it's awesome. It takes some getting used to, but, when I traveled my whole childhood, we lived in a fifth wheel. So it was like a 40-foot camper, and it's very big. It was
Yeah.
very nice, like, definitely wasn't, like, trailer trash or anything like that, but we traveled for my dad's job, and we lived in that, and it was perfect. I had, like, my own room, everything. Totally what I thought was normal life. Now, as I'm an adult, I'm like, "Wow, that was crazy, but awesome. Glad I had that experience." And so I was already kinda used to it. But van life is a totally different thing, especially if you're gonna stealth camp. So stealth camping is where, like, you can stay on the side of a road or in a parking lot or in a neighborhood or whatever. It's so much fun because you can drive somewhere and just find a place to park and be stealthy, and you can sleep there, wake up, and leave the place obviously perfect. Like, leave the place better than you found it, or whatever the state park saying is. Then you could stay in state parks, you can stay along the beach. Before we moved to Florida, and where we actually got the idea to do van life was San Diego, which is one of the most van friendly places. And probably my favorite, like second favorite city in the US. And we could go and stay there literally steps from the beach. And the beach had showers, bathrooms, everything. Like that place is awesome.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, van life is sweet. I not enough good things to say about it. I think everybody should at least rent a van once in their life and do some traveling.
Being able to just open up a tent or a van and just seeing water
Yeah.
on a beach. Uh, my dad and I, we go every year to the Apostle Islands
Oh, sweet.
and we island hop, we kayak to them. This
Mhm.
year, I'll actually finish all of them. I've been to
Really?
every island. Yeah, I think there's 21 or 22.
That's cool.
Um, but like we'll set up our there's one campsite we love. We set up our tent right on the sand, open it up, you just have a view of Lake Superior.
That's
It is
awesome.
just awesome.
Yeah, dude, it's a ton of fun. I will say it's not all like that. Like
Yeah,
van
I'm
life
sure.
has a
Sometimes you're opening up the door to a running highway or something.
a running highway, an alleyway, or like
Yeah,
whatever. And like van life has been one of the most like glamorized things on social media over the past X amount of years. And I will say that it is very much so glamorization. But there are some amazing like times where you have awesome views and awesome time.
that's awesome. Caleb, you've been amazing today. You have anything else you want to say before you go?
Not really, man. Anybody can follow me at Caleb Coons. I'm sure Asher will have my name down in the bio. If you want, you can go to my podcast. Right now, it's called Fortitude Capital. I'm really just doing it as an experiment, but hopefully it goes well and I enjoy it. Maybe I'll stick with it. Who knows? And yeah, that's it, man. If you're planning to buy any real estate, give me a call.
I loved your post you had that it made no sense to me. And then the next thing was, did that make no sense? Yep, call me.
Yeah.
I love that.
I know, and look, dude, I love that stuff. Like I said, that's the only reason I do it is because I love it. There are so many more productive things I could do with my time than like options trading or anything
Yeah,
like that. But I enjoy it. It's like a hobby for me. It's like therapy.
yeah. Well, Caleb, thank you so much. Hope to have you on again, and I hope to get on yours at some point.
Yeah, man. As soon as I figure out how to do it, you'll be on.
Sweet, man. Awesome.
Cool.
Have a good
Thanks for
day.
having me.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for coming on. That's the awkward part where